Hello and welcome everybody, I'm OneProudBavarian and today I'm bringing a video to you that is sponsored by Paradox Interactive. Not only will I be telling you in detail what update 1.3 for CK3 entails on the free and the flavor pack level, but I'm also here to tell you that CK3's base game is free to play from now until the 21st of March. This way you can experience the medieval era the entire time until the end of the week, so make sure to check it out via the link in the description. Now, I played a whole bunch of 1.3 and want to tell you exactly what to expect in the first major update to the game. Please do be aware that there is, of course, a lot of my opinion in this showcase as well. I'll be starting it off with what I consider to be the four most important free new features, but don't be fooled, there are many more features and changes in this update. And after that, I want to tell you all about the major features coming with the Northern Lords flavor pack. First off, let's talk about a number of topics that were already covered in dev diaries. The free 1.3 patch will come with the introduction of Winter that is ready to alter your warfare experience. Winter will creep its way onto the map every year and range from the mild variety over normal all the way to severe. While it beautifies the map quite a bit, it also has a very practical purpose. Commanders with the Winter Soldier trait will fare significantly better when marching and fighting in snow-covered areas. Additionally, certain units will benefit or be disadvantaged from fighting in the snow. On top of that, winter modifiers in general will drain your supply faster and on the harshest level have a genuinely significant impact on battle performance. While the Norse of course do benefit greatly from being accustomed to fighting in deep snow, the Scottish for example generally tend to experience harsh winters. If the Scottish lords and ladies were to be under attack by the Vikings, they could turn what seems like a major disadvantage into a massive advantage by picking a battle side with severe winter conditions that could give them a major boost to their defensive battle odds. Make sure to keep the time of year in mind, for the tide of battle could turn just based on that. Next up, the free 1.3 patch also adds duels. Finally, your characters will be able to administer justice or simply revenge through the means of brute force. The duel system in CK3 is a total upgrade compared to CK2's duel system, as it leaves the player with a degree of agency that simply was not present in the previous system. It is up to you to read how your enemy will behave, whether they want to strike you down or wear down your stamina and then strike when the time is right. The fighting style of a character is determined by their skill and personality, making every single fight a game of tactics and guile. You will be able to challenge your rivals to duels if you merely pick up the first perk in the Gallant tree. Duels are a highly flexible system that will hopefully find an even greater application going forward, because I would love to simply see more of it. Also, the free 1.3 patch comes with poetry that will allow you to further flesh out your more thoughtful characters. It is a trait that tends to become a reality for those skilled in learning and diplomacy, among other possibilities. For example, especially arrogant characters may pick up a quill to put their beautiful thoughts to paper. I mean, hey, they do love themselves. The applications of poetry are wide-ranging, letting you use it to torture your prisoners by granting them an exclusive right to listen to your worst creations. It can also be used to curry favor or cause anger in others by sending well-crafted poetry centered around a theme of your choice. Different poem themes have different side effects besides simply gaining or losing opinion. For example, if a ruler that is your friend is having a difficult time, you can send them a poem that deals with the topic of mourning. If your poetry is well received, it might very well help them cope. The generation of poetry follows a set of rules that will give you different and highly varied results each time you create one of your works. CK3 is standing on a strong mechanical foundation already, so seeing roleplay abilities added like this one is without a doubt a welcome sight. Now let's talk about the fourth big addition coming with the free 1.3 patch. This addition has not been talked about in any of the dev diaries, but I was more than excited to see it in-game as it mixes up a rather old mechanic that is otherwise mostly static: the Jure partitions. As of patch 1.3, there is a mechanic usable in England that lets Viking invaders such as Halfdan Whiteshirt negotiate a partition of England with the Anglo-Saxon lords, as it did occur historically. This mechanic is incredibly fascinating to me, and I think it will be of great interest to all of you and hopefully to the long-term future of Crusader Kings 3. If the Anglo-Saxon lords agree, both you and the strongest of their lords, most of the time of course it is the ruler of Wessex, Alfred the Great, will agree to a separation of the kingdom along the lines of cultural control. This means that you will be given the Danelaw Kingdom title, while the other side will be given the kingdom title native to them and their region, England. Not only does this split the kingdom de facto, it does this de jure as well. I personally am very excited about the game concept of establishing new kingdoms as an invader. Why would a Viking lord that is not privy to the regional native ideas of what the legal borders look like desire to adhere to them? As you go and conquer more of England, you will also be able to slowly but surely root out the very idea of England itself by claiming duchies under your control for your very own realm. This gradual process is absolutely amazing to me and will either lead to the eradication of one of the two kingdoms in the long term, or, later on, let you formalize the new kingdom by taking the decision of declaring the Daneland, having then cemented the split of the region. This concept works great for the historical case of England, and I'm happy to see it in the game. I hope that long term the dev team will look into a generalization of this game mechanic so that, let's say, a Viking lord in Andalusia can have the same negotiations with the native people of the land and establish their own Nordic realm as a direct de jure partitioned rival to the already standing kingdom, instead of simply founding their own kingdom. Seriously, do not sleep on this game mechanic. The concept of it finally adds player agency and involvement to the Jure borders that otherwise are almost entirely passive. All of the roleplay mechanics that have been added in this free update are great, but I really enjoy such a mechanical rethinking of the Jure borders. And so, with that being said, let's take a look at the content that comes with CK3's first flavor pack, Northern Lords. To begin, let's take a look at all the visual additions. Audio-wise, of course, you've been enjoying the Northern Lords soundtrack this entire video already. It is a more than worthy addition to the great CK3 soundtrack we already had. Visually, the pack comes with a revamped stylish interface for Nordic Lords, new 3D holdings, ships and unit models, as well as new character art. Oh, and let me tell you, I absolutely love playing sim-style dress-ups in CK3, and the new assets are all gorgeous. I especially love the Imperial Norse crown with its simple, strong and yet intricate style. The new beards as well as the new cloak selection gives you much more freedom in designing your ultimate Viking warrior. And that's how simple it is for Halfdan to finally, after all this time, become Halfdan. Look at him, he's a whole new man. Beyond this, there's a large variety of gameplay-altering additions coming for all of the Norse lords with this flavor pack. The pack introduces legacies unique to northern dynasties that are, by the gods, incredibly powerful. It also adds innovations for additional troop types that are especially excellent for winter combat, an innovation that unlocks the Varangian adventure castle speller that lets you and the AI take a full duchy on distant shores while automatically abandoning your home country right after. With this CB, you will be able to rally other adventurous Norse to your banner and then establish yourself in a new home. One of the interesting changes to innovations here is that longships, which enable you to raid overseas, is available to be researched by the Finnish and is already unlocked for the Estonians. This is a change that I'm sure many history buffs knowledgeable about northern raiders will be very happy with. On the religious side of things, the Osatru faith has been reworked with new holy sites, a new tenet focused around the sacrificial festival called Blod, as well as a new set of virtues that now includes poetry. Especially virtuous rulers can also work towards the decision to found the Jomsvikings on the southern coast of the Baltic Sea in order to protect the north from the encroaching forces of Christianity. One can even choose their patron deity with, for example, Odin giving a character a higher chance to later on become a poet. Of course, all of these things are nice and fancy, but a key experience of being Norse is of course the bloat itself. It makes a glorious return to CK3 and even enables you to designate a specific prisoner of yours to become the main attraction of this sacrificial rite. Be warned, however, sometimes sacrifices like this aren't exactly free of consequences. The interesting part about the bloat system as a whole, besides being able to sacrifice the Pope of course, is the fact that it is heavily tied to granting you greater popular opinion, the more money you spend. This is consistent with some of the outcomes of the newly introduced runestone mechanic that lets you erect runestones in your realm after important events and may also lead to popular happiness. Of course, all of this popular happiness ties together to a basic game mechanic: Scandinavian elective. This is easily one of the coolest electoral systems that ever made it into Crusader Kings and is now supported by these events. The popular happiness of your domain plays a big role in how much your vote matters in this form of succession, so now it is even more engaging to play with this system. The flavor pack also utilizes the new duel system by allowing Norse characters to challenge others that wronged them to a trial by combat that could even end in death. An honor duel in the style of the historical Holmgang to settle disputes. Be careful, however, of course, it might end with your death as well. Speaking of fighting and death, you will now also be able to name close female relatives of yours that have an adequate prowess skill as shield maidens to have them serve as commanders, knights and bodyguards. Besides all of this, and I will be short on this topic because I do not want to spoil too much of this immersive roleplay content, you also have a large variety of possible events, as well as 2 new character types that may wander into your court. Last but very much not least, you also do gain access to the decisions to form the capital of the Rus, to found the Kingdom of Man and the Isles, and by the way, that is an insanely strong decision, just thought you should know, as well as a decision to form the Empire of the North Sea that creates a new de jure territory consisting of Norway, Denmark and England. Now if that isn't cute, then I don't know what is. In conclusion, this flavor pack had a large burden to carry as it was to set the tone for all future flavor packs. I hope that you can make up your own mind now that you have been informed about everything going on in it. I myself am happy about the amount of content with the pack as well as the direction. Immersion, roleplay and a new approach to the Jure mechanics is something CK3 needed, and the dev team very apparently understands this. Now, as mentioned before, and of course Crusader Kings 3 is currently free, go check it out via the link in the description. I'm excited about this DLC, I hope so are you, and the patch itself, of course, also has a lot of meat. With that being said, I will see you later. Alligator.